Thank you, Briette, and thank you to all of you for allowing me to come and speak today. I was asked a few weeks ago if I would come to the scholarship dinner and talk about the impact of scholarship on my life, and to talk about my Grand Valley experience and possibly how Grand Valley shaped the person I am today, maybe how scholarships affected me. And I started to sit down and I dwelled on that thought. And I said, well, when I was an undergrad, I was thinking about scholarships, and I had a few, in my first year, in my sophomore year, and I went on to get many more. And I said, wow, that's kind of interesting, because it wasn't something that was on my purview when I was an undergrad. It wasn't something that was right in front of me. And I thought about it, and I said, well, perhaps that's because that's the way it should be. Because scholarships are those things that help fill the gap between where aid stops and where your college education begins. Scholarships fill what other institutions or what other aid prospects don't do. And I started to think about it, and I said, well, that investment that someone made in me is reciprocal, because what I'm doing at Grand Valley, the education that I'm receiving, the change that I want to do in this world, that same investment is happening from that giving person. And that reciprocal relationship that you've created, that reciprocal relationship that John H. Logie created with me, that Ralph Hauenstein created with me, that Kurt F. Kimball created with me, David and Carol Van Andel, all of those were relationships, and they were investments, not only in my future, but in the future of this state, in the future of your local community, in the future of your country. And it's really sort of tough to think about it that way when you're an undergrad, to think that that investment really is a seed in the future. It's a seed that's going to germinate, it's a seed that's going to mature, it's a seed that one day is going to pay dividends. And that's exactly what that education is. You make an investment, and that's the way I see my undergrad. That's the way I see my master's as well. It's an investment. It's an investment that I expect to have a very impressive return. And I was lucky, because it did. Because of the scholarships that I got in undergrad, I was able to finish my degree 4 years. There were some difficult times, some very, very difficult times. And I'll tell you that scholarships are some of those key nexus points that make it possible for people to achieve the college education, for people to break a cycle of poverty, for people to achieve goals that perhaps their family never dreamed of. So think about that as you're sitting around your table and you're talking to the giver, you're talking to the recipient. You are establishing a reciprocal relationship. You are both investing in our future. What an exciting prospect. A truly exciting prospect. So you should think about this night as a time to celebrate that, as a time of introspection, as a time to think about what that gift means to you. And I'd like to just close by saying thank you to everyone. Thank you to the donors that helped me. Thank you to the professors that were so instrumental in my instruction. Thank you to the staff that made Grand Valley possible. Thank you to the many, many hands, as Briette said, to the village that it took to get me to where I am, and the village that continues to be in place for everyone in this room tonight. Thank you.